Have you ever faced a situation so emotionally complicated that no choice felt right? What if that decision involved your partner and their dying mother? Welcome back to AITA Stories, where we explore real-life dilemmas that blur the lines between right and wrong. Today's story brings us face to face with a painful question. Is it wrong to walk away when love, loss, and boundaries collide? Let's dive into it. The original poster, or OP, is a 25-year-old woman. She's been with her boyfriend, Jake, for 2 years. They've had their share of ups and downs, but things got especially complicated recently. Jake's mother is dying of cancer. She's in hospice care. Her time is extremely limited. The entire situation is heartbreaking, especially for Jake and his younger brother. Understandably, Jake is a mess. He's grieving preemptively. He's overwhelmed. He's consumed by guilt, stress, and sadness. OP knows this. She's seen the late-night breakdowns, the tears, the emotional shutdowns. She's been there for him. She's tried. But here's where things start to go off the rails. Jake moved in with OP a few months ago. Things were already a little rocky. They had different views on cleanliness, on routines, on emotional labor. Jake, like many people under pressure, began to lean heavily on OP for everything: emotional support, household tasks, scheduling, errands. As Jake's mother's condition declined, OP says she became his entire support system. And she doesn't say that in a proud way. She says it with exhaustion. It wasn't just Jake crying on her shoulder. It was her managing hospice schedules, cooking, cleaning, calling insurance, driving Jake to and from the hospice center. Meanwhile, Jake's brother barely lifted a finger. Jake justified this by saying his brother wasn't handling it well. But OP was handling everything. And nobody seemed to ask whether she was handling it well. Eventually, the load became too much. OP reached her breaking point when Jake called her at work and demanded she drop everything to drive him to his mother's hospice appointment because his brother had bailed. She said no. She couldn't take off again. Her job was at risk. She was burnt out, emotionally fried, at her limit. That no turned into a fight. Jake accused her of abandoning him, of being heartless, of being selfish at the worst possible time. But OP doesn't think it's selfish to set boundaries, especially when no one else is. She told Jake that his grief didn't mean her needs disappeared. She said she couldn't be the replacement for everyone else in his life who failed him. That's a line she never wanted to cross, but felt forced to. And then she made the hardest decision of all. She told Jake he needed to stay somewhere else for a while, that she couldn't keep carrying this weight alone, especially when it wasn't being shared. Jake left, and now OP is asking the internet, am I the asshole for refusing to help my boyfriend during the worst time of his life? Because I just couldn't do it anymore. Now pause. Breathe. Let that question settle in. Let's talk about grief, boundaries, and emotional labor. This story taps into something many people, especially women, struggle with. The expectation to be everything for everyone all the time. The default caregiver. The emotional shock absorber. The one who keeps it all together while everyone else falls apart. But here's the truth. Grief does not give someone a free pass to abandon partnership. It may explain behavior, but it doesn't excuse it indefinitely. OP wasn't saying she didn't care about his mom. She wasn't saying, suck it up. She wasn't ignoring his pain. What she was saying, clearly, was, I can't survive this if I keep drowning in your pain while ignoring my own. And that's not cruel. That's honest. That's human. This story also raises questions about who carries the burden when tragedy strikes. Why was Jake's brother allowed to check out emotionally, while OP was expected to step in without complaint? Why is emotional labor still so invisible? Why do we romanticize self-sacrifice, especially from women, until they finally snap? Jake should be heartbroken. He's losing his mother. No one's questioning that. But his response to OP's boundaries was telling. Instead of appreciation for everything she had already done, he responded with accusation. And let's not forget, OP never said she wouldn't support him. She just said she couldn't be the only one doing it all. That's not abandonment. That's survival. Let's break it down further. This post reads like a heartbreaking drama. There's emotional tension, conflict, sacrifice, and a bold plot twist when OP finally says, "Enough." This post teaches us something real about boundaries in relationships, that supporting someone doesn't mean self-erasure, that in any healthy relationship, especially during hard times, support should be shared, not dumped entirely on one partner. And OP made the hard call, the unpopular one, the one where she might look like the villain, but it was also the one that protected her sanity. That kind of bravery, the courage to disappoint someone for the sake of your own emotional safety, is rare and worth honoring. So, what happened after OP posted? The comment section exploded. Some people called her selfish, cold, emotionally unavailable. Others said she was a hero, that Jake weaponized his grief, that she did what thousands of burned-out caregivers only wish they had the strength to do. There were stories of people who had sacrificed everything for grieving partners, only to end up empty, broken, and alone once the dust settled. There were stories of people who had been in Jake's shoes and still managed to respect their partner's limits. It's clear, this story hit a nerve, because it's not just about one relationship. It's about how we treat the people who care for us when we stop being able to care for ourselves. And now, here's my take. I don't think OP is the villain. In fact, I think she's the canary in the coal mine. She saw that the emotional air was getting toxic, and she acted before it killed her too. Jake was grieving, yes, but OP was drowning. And sometimes, saving yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. She didn't storm out. She didn't cut him off. She didn't throw his things on the lawn. She drew a boundary and asked him to respect it. That's what adults do in hard situations. So if you're someone who always carries more than your share, maybe it's time to ask, when was the last time someone asked how you were doing? If the answer is never, it's not you who failed them. It's them who failed to see you. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Is OP heartless or just human? Have you ever had to walk away from someone you love because their pain was consuming you? Let's talk about it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to AITA Stories for more tales that test the limits of love, loyalty, and what it means to be a good person in a messy world. We're not here to judge. We're here to feel. See you in the next story.